The FX30 is arguably one of the most underrated cameras on the market today. I've boasted about it. There are tons of videos out there that really dive into the technical details of this camera. But today I want to share with you how I have come to depend on this camera in my everyday video production workflow. So let's put the FX30 into context. Right now, you are looking at the image that's coming out of the FX30. If I use any other camera in this video, I'll let you know here on the screen. I do want to point out that the Sony a6700 and the FX30 have the same sensor, and everything that's inside the camera is exactly the same. I originally bought the a6700 to have as kind of a backup camera, and also it's a great small-sized hybrid camera. So if I ever found myself in a situation where I needed to shoot photos for a client, I'd have that camera. But really what kept happening was, first of all, I was never grabbing my camera to take photos. If I was going to do that, I would just use my iPhone. But I'd constantly run into overheating issues. So I use these cameras, in particular the FX30, for live streams, for interview style videos, podcasts, and also for events. And events meaning I'm either walking around capturing the event or I'm live streaming the event. And as you can imagine, I'm spending a lot of time filming with the camera. And because I was constantly mitigating those overheating issues, it just eventually made sense for me to sell the 6700. I purchased the FX30, and it's probably one of the best decisions I've made in terms of the way I use this camera to date. Benefits to using the FX30 as an APS-C camera is that you get smaller lenses, and also they're more cost effective. So the lenses that I primarily use with this camera is the Sigma 16mm f1.8. I am using that lens on the camera now to shoot all of the A-roll for this video. And this is comparable to my Sony 24mm lens. Anytime I want to shoot something with a wide angle, oftentimes for me, that's a third camera that I might have set up in an interview style video or a podcast recording, I'm going to reach for the Sigma 10 to 18mm f2.8. And this is comparable to my Sony 16 to 25mm f2.8. And you'll see the price differences down in the links in the description. For all-around shooting, I think we all know for a full-frame camera, the 24 to 70mm f2.8, I use the version that's out from Sigma. I love this lens, but if I am shooting with the FX30, I'm turning to the Sigma 18 to 50 f2.8. Again, look at the size difference and the price difference between these two camera and lens options. 35mm on a full-frame camera is one of my favorite focal lengths. When it comes to the FX30, I turn to this Viltrox 27mm f1.2 lens. In this case, the APS-C version is a little heavier and the lens is a little larger in size, but it's an f1.2. So I turn to this lens when I'm shooting B-roll or anytime I'm in a low light situation. This lens is nice and bright and I really love it. Because some of my lenses do have such a low aperture, I do carry the Nisi variable ND with me. I love these variable NDs. They don't give you any type of vignetting. They're nice and clear. They are on the pricier side, but this is something that I always throw in my camera bag. When it comes to putting these lenses to use, the 10 to 18mm goes on my camera anytime I'm shooting real estate, or again, anytime I am capturing a wide third angle for an interview style video. The 16mm f1.8 typically goes on the camera anytime I'm doing A-roll or a talking head shot like this. The Viltrox 27mm f1.2, I use it all the time to capture B-roll. I just love the bokeh that this lens provides. And finally, the Sigma 18 to 50 goes on my camera in most situations. I primarily use it when I'm placing the FX30 on a gimbal and I'm using it to shoot events. I also use it anytime I'm using the FX30 as a B cam to my FX3, and I always throw the FX30 paired with the 18 to 50mm f2.8 anytime I want to take a backup camera with me on a job. It's so versatile that this is my go-to camera anytime something goes wrong. Now that we've got the lenses covered, let's talk about gimbal usage. So the gimbal is one of the other accessories that I use often with the FX30. Because these lenses are so much smaller in size, anytime I have to do gimbal work and I can get away with using the FX30, I'm going to do it. So typically I am using the 10-18 anytime I want to capture real estate videos, and anytime I'm at an event and I have to walk around for long periods of time and do gimbal work, it gets so tiring. So of course, the smaller version of the setup is the DJI RS3 Mini. I just pair that with the FX30 and the 18-50 millimeter f2.8, and you can see the size difference. This makes a huge difference when you're out shooting for an extended period of time. I just can't tell you how much nicer this is on my body anytime I have to do gimbal work for a video that I'm creating. When it comes to capturing audio using the FX30, well, you can use the same top handle that you use for the FX3. So if you already have a handle, you can just use that interchangeably. But I highly recommend getting this handle. And the reason why is because you can plug XLR microphones into the top of this handle, and you're going to capture that audio directly into your footage. I primarily use that setup in situations like this. I mean, you can't really see it, but off camera, I have a microphone that's just boomed directly overhead right here. At events, I can plug an XLR microphone directly into the top handle, capture audio, and those are the primary use cases I use with the top handle. Now, if I am using the FX30 as a backup camera, or if I'm using it for that wide angle camera, I actually turn to the Comica VM40. This is a newer shotgun microphone that's out on the market. If you're interested in kind of getting a rundown of this microphone, I did just recently create a video about it. I'll place that link down in the description. But this Comica mic is so much fun because I can plug it directly into the FX30, or I can use it wirelessly and boom it if I need to. And it's become very helpful. It's a nice tool to have in the toolbox. I have mentioned that I do use the FX30 as a third camera anytime I have a 3-camera setup for like a podcast recording or an interview or a live stream. And the reason why that wide shot is one that I use the least amount when I am doing the edit. I'm mostly focused in on the close-up shots. I capture those close-up shots with an FX3, and then I can just set up the FX30. I place that Comica mic on top. I shoot with the 10-18 millimeter lens, and it's such a small setup that I can place this anywhere in the room, get that nice wide shot, and that way I do have that third camera angle for those types of videos. One of the great things about the Sony ecosystem is that all of these cameras use the same batteries. Now, if I am shooting a longer video, obviously I can't use just the battery that goes into the camera, but I turn to V-mount batteries to be able to power these cameras for an extended period of time. If I'm using the camera just on a tripod, I do have this V-mount battery kind of clamp or mount that goes right onto the tripod, and I can just mount the V-mount battery there. And then I have a D-tap to NPF battery cable adapter, and this allows me to have what feels like unlimited power to the camera. And of course, it makes sense on occasion to completely rig out this camera. Now, the body is the same exact body size as the FX3, so I am using a small rig cage. This cage has an Arca Swiss kind of mount built directly into the cage. I use this V-mount battery bracket. It's made by Spall Rig, and it just slides right into this camera cage, and I just attach the V-mount battery, and there you go. You have an extended amount of battery power to use. You can use the top handle that I mentioned earlier here, but the FX30 gives you plenty of places to mount brackets. And in this case, you can put a top handle on your rig if you need to carry it around. And then on top, I will mount a monitor. This is one of the newer additions to my rig. This monitor is made by Portkeys, and what you can do with this monitor is you can control everything on your FX30. So you just connect the monitor to your camera using Wi-Fi, and you can record. You have complete control over your aperture, your ISO. Everything is right here on the screen. It gives you false color, focus peaking, anything that you are accustomed to using on a video shoot to help you set your exposure and then also give you control over the camera. This monitor is a great addition. I really love it, and something to consider if you want to rig out your camera. Now, in this situation, there are a couple different types of audio options that I turn to if I just want to capture general noise in the room or just people speaking. If I'm capturing testimonials or anything like that, then I am just going to use a shotgun microphone for this setup. And then I can also use wireless microphones. My favorite go-to right now is the Rode Video Pro because you can record internally. You can record in 32-bit float. I like the sound that comes out of the Rode Video Pros, and these are the two audio options that I turn to if I am using this rig. And this is more in like a run and gun style of a situation, but I'll also use this if I just set this camera up in a corner on a tripod and I'm shooting maybe a speaker on the stage. This is going to give me all of the battery power that I need, and then I can monitor all of the audio, and it's one of my go-to setups anytime I need everything in one package. And then, I don't know, these might be considered honorable mentions, but the other accessories that I use anytime I really go out on a video shoot are these small-sized earbuds. I think these are like $20 on Amazon. Again, all of the links to everything I'm covering in this video are down below in the description. And for my camera bag, I turn to this porta-brace bag. I like these bags because I can set my camera up beforehand. I just set my rig or however I'm going to use the camera directly into this bag. That way, just carry it right in to my video shoot. I just have to pull the camera out and I'm ready to shoot within minutes. And finally, my go-to tripod for video shoots when I am using a heavier size rig like this one is this tripod from iFootage. I like these tripods because they're like the minimum that I can get away with if I do need to mount this larger size rig onto a tripod. So these are carbon fiber. They still fold up pretty compact, and then they do also have the ability to carry a heavier load. I can move this tripod around pretty easily in an audience, and also it's nice and tall. So if I'm standing in the back of the room and I am capturing, a speaker on the stage, or if I'm live streaming, or if I'm filming some sort of an interview style video, I can shoot over the audience. I can hone right in on the speaker on the stage, and makes it easy for me to capture whatever video I need to for the day. So as you can see, anything you throw at the Sony FX30 is going to be able to handle. It's nice and reliable. The autofocus on these Sony cameras are so good. It's just nice to be able to set this camera up in a corner as my backup cam, as my B cam, or even when I really need to have it as the star of the show. It comes through every single time. So let me know in the comments below which of the accessories that I went over today are your favorites, and did I miss any? Are there any that I should be taking advantage of? Let me know in the comments below. In the next video, I'm actually going to dive into an entirely new camera system. It'll be the first of many videos that I do about this camera system. So if you want to tune in, be sure to subscribe before you head out. Thanks as always for tuning in, and I'll see you again in the next video.